David Baumblatt from Terebinth Leadership. I think we're live now. David Baumblatt from Terebinth Leadership. Thanks for joining. Today's episode, pretty interesting because Merry Christmas. You're obviously, I'm assuming you're in America, you're an American, it's Merry Christmas. It's a Christian holiday. I'm in China. Guess what? There's no Christmas, there's no Christianity, and there's nothing wrong with that because in China, they don't celebrate Christianity. They don't celebrate Christmas. Here it's Taoism and Buddhism and Confucianism. And so the episode, I think, is very poignant because we're going to do an episode about Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm not a big fan of him, at least in a leadership position in America. As a normal American citizen, we're going to assume he adds values. But there's a time and a place for everything. And America is a Christian country. It's a European country. And we're going to do a little snippet of him, but I would probably say for the exact same reason, I'm in China. I don't push Christianity in China. I don't push, you could say, even Western values in China. It's their country. I mean, I'm just a foreigner. Let them do what they want to do. But what happens in America or other Western countries? We let foreigners push their way around us. And Vivek Ramaswamy, he could be born in America. That doesn't really mean much to me. I could be born in China. The Chinese would never accept me for Chinese, and you would never accept me for Chinese. So just because you're born in a place, it definitely gives you more cultural collateral, but it doesn't make you. I mean, America is generally speaking a Christian country, a European country, and a country that values free speech that obviously Vivek Ramaswamy's clamping down on, or at least his views. Let's open this up with sure any viewers out there. So again, for in America, Merry Christmas to you. You're probably doing your Christmas meal, but if the politics leadership don't plan out, the future of America, Christmas and Christianity, if you don't fight for it, you're going to lose it, is basically it. Let's just do a quick snippet of Vivek Ramaswamy right now, sort of his views. And there's a key point in it where he talks about if you don't have these values, you're not part of the conservative unit, like conservative movement. You're not part of this country. And I thought to myself, that's a pretty arrogant stance for an Indian man to be making, to tell Americans who and what we're a part of in our own country. I mean, he could say it, it's freedom of speech, but boy, I don't know. I surprise myself how this person gets the votes that he does. And again, I'm not a fan. I've said this many times. India would never allow a white man to be the leader of India. Why would I want a non-European man to be the leader of a European country? And that's what America is. It's a European country. Let's just watch this snippet to get a roll, but it is poignant. Here you're celebrating Christmas, and if you don't fight for your Christian values, European values, you're going to lose it. So I see Shane, he just said that the retarded MAGA view equivalent to Biden's, as in, yeah, like I said, what I want to do, it's pretty interesting because I'm here in China. There's no Christmas. There's no Christianity. And I don't have a problem with that. Why? Because this is China. But if you don't fight for your rights and values in America, it's coming to you. I mean, what are we going to be, a Hindu country, a Buddhist country, a Muslim country? And I've even said, too, about Judaism. I mean, if you want to do, I study Judaism, but in America, it's Christianity first. End of story. Even there's some Europeans who don't even like Christianity. They look at, I guess there's some European pagan religions. I mean, I'm open to it if it's European, like the Norse god, Viking, Odin. All right, I mean, that's fine. But I definitely think Christianity is part of the European history. And as far as I'm concerned, that should be the only religion that has legal protections in America. So again, if you want to be even a Jew, you want to be a Jew in America, you want to be a Muslim in America, you want to be a Hindu, you want to be a Buddhist, you can do it in your own private right, but you're not going to get any legal protections. The only legal protection should be Christianity, meaning if you're discriminated. So if you're discriminated against your Christian beliefs, you could take them to court. You are protected by the government. There's no legal protections with these other religions. You could practice it if you want. No one's going to persecute you, but it's just not legally protected. Let's go to Vivek Ramaswamy. Like I said, it's just amazing how many, particularly Americans, would view this person. And I don't know, maybe they're afraid to be called a racist or whatever. I'm at the end of the story. I'm not going to have an Indian man be the leader of a European country. It's that simple. India would never allow it. Let's take a look at him in his one of his places here. Let me push this up. All right, so this is, I just posted this on X, and hopefully everyone could see that. So right there, why would I want an Indian man to be the leader? And let's just play this clip right here.
Of American identity that's emergent in
Hopefully you can hear that. Let me put this higher.
certain corridors of the online right. And it says that your identity as an American is based on your lineage. That how long you have been in the country, your lineage and your genetics tied to the blood and soil of.
Okay, so he's talking about America is tied to your lineage. That's basically almost every country in the world. You think you're going to go to India? If you're not genetically Indian, do you think you're going to be welcomed as Indian? Now, it is true, American, we are a little diverse. Maybe it's a little French, it's a little German, it's a little British, but it's basically Western European. That's our DNA. So I don't know what he's talking about. It's tied to our genetic lineage. You think China, you don't think the Chinese diaspora, the Chinese people, China, it's not tied to their genetic lineage? So I don't know what he means by that. That's almost every country on earth has done that. So, but I guess he doesn't want that to be in America.
The country determines how American you are. It is the idea of a heritage American that says the truest form of an American is somebody who is a descendant of the American Revolution period or before. I think the idea of a heritage American is about as loony as anything the woke left has.
I don't understand what he's talking about. I mean, could you go to India? If you're not of Indian descent, we're talking lineage. So again, what would I generally say? What is the lineage of America? Western European, heterosexual, Christian, men, white, Western European. I mean, generally speaking, and there's certain countries that are a little bit more. Obviously, we have Britain. Germany was huge. We have some France, but it would generally be our lineage are Western European. There's a reason we speak English. In fact, most people don't know, but the German language lost by just one vote to be our national language. So I would say generally the lineage of America is Western European DNA.
Actually put up. There is no American who is more American than somebody else.
Well, I disagree than that, totally.
The idea that a heritage American is more American than another American is un-American at its core. And I will fight to the very end for that, because that's what it means to be an American. We believe in ideals. That is who we are. What does it mean to be an American in the year 2026? It means we believe in those ideals of 1776.
We believe in those ideals of 1776, meaning George Washington. I think George Washington would back me. Back then, only white men were given citizenship. I say again, only white men were allowed to be. In fact, I think it was white men, even landowners. But back in 1776, an Indian man would never become a U.S. citizen. So I'm not quite sure what his logic is. I believe our founding fathers would probably back my logic more than Vivek's.
It means we believe in merit, that the best person gets the job regardless of their skin color, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the proud son of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first...
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a big fan of illegal immigration either.
Act of entering this country cannot break the law, and that is why we have sealed the southern border, and we will not apologize for it. Because a nation without borders is not a nation. What does it mean to be American? It means we believe in free speech and open debate, even for those who disagree with us. It also means that we believe in the culture that was born of those principles. It means we believe in accountability, that we're brave, that we're courageous, even heroic, when called upon to do what is right for our country in our hour of need. It means that as Americans, we take risks. Sometimes we fail, but we pick ourselves up and we take those risks again, that we encounter hardship from time to time.
Okay, that's great. Sometimes I wonder how these people got into power. Probably because I don't know if this guy's a billionaire, or whatever. He's a multimillionaire. So obviously money, how did he make his money? But sometimes it's hard. Again, I left America 15 years ago, and in China, it's hard for me to even imagine, literally imagine a white man, or we're just going to say a non-Chinese ethnic person being on some political platform in China, telling the Chinese what to do. Like, I can't even imagine that. So when I look at America, these foreigners, I could care less whether they were born in America. The amount of political clout they have, and here me, a military veteran, I'm not even welcome back in my own country. It really shows we're losing the country. And I don't even, you want to know why I don't even like to waste my time talking to white Americans? The same white Americans that are probably clapping for vaccine. Yeah, man. Number one thing, man, we're not racist. I don't care who you are, as long as you're smart and you make money. I guess that's what an American is, a business person. As long as you make money for the corporations, I guess that's it. And they're like, yeah, man, I don't care who you are. And these same white people would look at me like, yeah, this David Baumblatt, he's a racist. And some of you just let it happen. Just let it go. Because some people in America, they're going to have to learn the hard way. It's going to collapse. Because like I said, I know what it feels like to be a racial minority. I know, I've lived it. It's cool if you live in a foreign land. It's culturally enriching. I don't want that in my homeland. No way. Because I have no power. When you're a foreigner in a foreign land, it's good. You could go to India. I think it's great. Go to India, live in India for 5 years, study Hinduism, knock your socks off. But you'll always be a foreigner. You will be a foreigner. You won't have power. You won't integrate. So as long as you can enjoy learning and growing as a foreigner, it's great. But you don't want that in your home country. No way, not even close. So I think many times, you got to let these American white people, they're the worst, these American women, white women, white men that are just, they would be the first one in my face telling me how evil I am. Just let them do it. It's going to fall. They're going to have to see it. But I can tell you, this guy, Vivek, I'm sure we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to say he adds value to America as a good American citizen. We won't even get to that. I still wouldn't have given him American citizenship. That's fine. But to be the leader, why would I want an Indian man to be the leader of a European country? Why? Sell that to me. You're the salesman. Try to sell this to me. Why? I mean, it's the same thing with Barack Obama, the African guy. You think you're going to go to Africa and you're going to be the leader of an African country? Never would happen. You think you're going to come to China? Never would happen. So I would just say, no, I don't want an Indian man to be the leader of an American European country for the same reason that India would not want a non-ethnically Indian person to be the leader of their country. Like, I don't even know why we have to make this argument, but that's what Americans, they just have this virtue of they just don't want to be racist. I mean, and I'll do stories when I left America, but man, China, I need to do videos on racism in China. When I say racism in China, it's not negative about China. It's not a negative view. But what it is we ain't racist. Now, everybody's racist. I'm just saying we are the least racist. So am I racist? Absolutely. Probably every single human being on this planet is racist. America is still a racist country. The difference is we are the least racist country. The white man, the least racist person. That's what I'm trying to explain. So I'm reading the comment, Shane. He's Soros. He might be. I mean, I wonder where these people get their money. But again, he's part of the MAGA crew, so he's not far left. I mean, he is part of MAGA, and that's what I've said. I don't really consider myself MAGA. I've definitely spoke highly of Donald Trump, but I consider myself a nationalist, and the MAGA movement is not nationalism as much as it should be. There's parts, so it is what it is. Let me just do this other clip here about the religion real quick. This is again Vivek Ramaswamy. Let him talk about Hinduism.
Be our president because your religion is not what our founding fathers based our country on.
I would say that I respectfully disagree. And, I want people to understand this about me. I would rather.
I mean, you could respectfully disagree, but you're wrong. Our founding fathers would have never tolerated Hinduism. And there are stories about our founding fathers. Some of them weren't Christians. They supported Christian culture, though. So the point is you may not be a Christian believer like the Bible, but you will support Christian European culture. So no, I don't believe our founding fathers would support Hinduism as our national religion or even our national culture.
rather speak the truth and lose an election than to win by playing some political snakes and ladders. I mean, if I wanted to map out my political career and really solve for that, I could fake convert. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you about my faith. I'm Hindu. Now, I went to Christian.
And I have no problem with Hinduism and Buddhism. I live in China. I've studied around with Taoism, but there's a time and a place for everything. America is a European country. We're not a Hindu country. So no, our official religion, our official religious beliefs should be perpetrated by Christianity, but there's nothing wrong with Hinduism. It's the same thing with Islam. I don't have a problem with Islam, but there's a time and a place for it. America is not an Islamic country. So go to the Middle East, have fun with Islam, and knock your socks off.
Schools. And I can tell you with confidence that we share the same value set in common. Would I be the best president to spread Christianity through this country? I would not. I'd be not the best choice for that. But will I stand for the Judeo-Christian values that this nation was founded on, that I was raised in, even in the Hindu faith? Yes, I will. You're darn right I will.
What do you say to?
All right, let me do a final comment, and we're going to go to more about Judeo-Christian. Now, I've used the word Judeo-Christian, and some people said that's a horseshit term. There's no such thing as Judeo-Christian. And you know what I think? I don't know. Free speech. We all know when it comes to free speech on Jewish topics, it's taboo. And I've never said I'm an expert on Christianity, nor have I ever said I'm an expert on Judaism. But what I can say is there is an absolute attack on free speech. Same thing, like, I don't know if you heard these rumors. I don't want to do a tangent. Some people say they're not really Jews. They're, what the hell is it? It's these Khazars. You know what? Meaning the Ashkenazi Jews. That's what my heritage, Ashkenaz. We're not real Jews. We're Khazarians. You know what I say? I don't fucking know. What do I think the answer is? Free speech. Free speech. Let's figure it out. So the point being is about, I go back to Hinduism. I don't have any problems with Hinduism, but there's a time and a place, and it's not America. But you could do it in your private nature and knock yourselves off. But no, I don't want a political leader who's a Hindu. I would prefer a Christian leader because that's America. Let's go to another one. Again, we're going to go through a couple of these, and then we're going to wrap this up in terms of, again, where America's going. This is interesting. This is a short clip. We'll just go through it.
And Hinduism is a wicked pagan religion, and it's completely.
Okay, so he's saying Hindu is, I don't know, maybe it is. I mean, I'm more of an expert on Taoism, Confucianism, a little bit on Buddhism. Buddhism also comes from India, but on Confucianism and Taoism, I could talk a little bit more expertise. I thought Hindu was a good religion. Again, I'm not advocating it, but this guy says it's a pagan evil cult. Well, I don't know, free speech, let's have the argument. But either way, it should not be any part of the official religion of European, Western countries. It doesn't have a place. But if you want to do it in your private life, nature, again, knock your socks off.
Incompatible with America. So my challenge, I guess, to you going forward would be to say who this God is.
Run for U.S. president at the age of 37 as somebody who's been in business, who's actually, easiest thing to call myself some Vic Ramsey and pretend to be a Christian.
He does come across, though, as a slick salesman. I don't know enough about Vivek. I mean, I would never even consider voting for this guy to be my political leader, just because, again, he's Indian, he's Hindu, just ain't going to do it. But he could be a good guy, but he does come across as a little bit like a slick salesman.
Other people on that debate stage last time have shortened their names and called themselves to be a Christian too. I'm a man up and tell you who I am, and believe me, your suspicion is off base. Questioning the motivations of what somebody is and get to the content of where there's an actual difference of opinion. So the question of whether or not somebody of a non-Christian faith can embody and lead the United States of America at any meaningful level is an open question. And my view is
it's good. Let's open. I just don't think it's a good. I would prefer the leader of America to be a white European man who either is a devout Christian or he supports Christian first initiative, Christian first religion, Christian first culture, this and that. That would probably be a safe bet. I think our founding fathers would probably agree with that.
Very similar to that of Thomas Jefferson is that it's the commitment to the Constitution that matters.
Okay, so here we're going to go. I want to go with this. This is, again, the weird thing is I've always said if I ever went back to America, I think the first people that would be in my face opposing me, it wouldn't be people of color, we'll say, non-white. I really think it'd be white people. I think it would be white men and white women who just have this hatred for racism. And that's another reason why my story doesn't want to get out because, Hoover, Hoover, he probably didn't, Hoover didn't even like Jews, not even a Jewish president, let alone, hey, I get it. I mean, I tell my Jew, we'll just say this, and the Jew, when I grew up in New York with the Jews, I never quite realized the influence or this stuff about Israel. I found out later on. And there's so many different Jews, just like, let's face it, there's a lot of white people who are absolute traitors to the white race. You know that. I mean, these people are the worst. But I would say three things. If you're a Jew and you want to be welcomed in the West, I would say do three things. If you do three things as a Jew, and I'm saying the same, I guess you could say with a Hindu guy, if you do three things, I believe you're going to be welcomed in the West. One, it's a Christian First Nation. You can practice these other religions like Hinduism and Buddhism, but it's not legally protected. It's not who we are. You just do it in your private, but you have to, raise your hand or admit this is a Christian first country. That's the one thing you have to. You have to don't fuck with Christianity, do it. Second is you have to admit this is a white man's country. That's what the West is. It's European. You've got to stop fucking with the white. I don't fuck with the Chinese man. Do you even think remotely I fuck with the Chinese man in China? Not even remotely close. I am like a fly on the wall here. I don't fuck around with this country. I am just a guest. I don't screw with these people. They do what they're doing. But how many people come to America, come to Europe, come to Canada, and they shit on the white man? Not a good idea. I don't do that. You know, the same thing about white genocide, allow the white, and that's another reason. Who should be the leader of white countries? Probably the white man. I would say I would not allow women to vote, and the only people would vote would probably be white men and leaders. So number two is don't screw with the white man. And three is freedom of speech. Whatever they want to say about Adolf Hitler, whatever they want to say at the Holocaust, I'm not saying you have to agree with them, but let free speech go. And if they want to say negative things, I'm not talking violence, we're talking just freedom of speech about World War II, because these are the sensitive topics. But if you're a Jew and you could say, okay, I'm still going to practice Judaism, but I will support a Christian first country. Two, I'm not messing with the white man. The leader, the owner, the boss, the people who run the show are going to be white men in these Western countries. And three, I may not, we're assuming I don't like people telling me that Adolf Hitler is a great leader, but freedom of speech is freedom of speech, and I will respect freedom of speech. If you do all those two things, I think you'll be welcome here fine. But anyway, it's similar to like a lot of these Hindu, and like I said, and let me make this pivot right now. And I mean this sincerely, and that's why I've studied other, I guess you could say, religions, particularly Confucianism and Taoism. And this is where I don't have any problems with Hinduism. When I think of the typical American shitbag, this is the typical American, where his number one priority is watching football, is just buying stuff. Typical corporate, he's an atheist. So the typical American is an absolute atheist. All he cares about is making money, spending it on junk, watching meaningless television, Hollywood movies, watching the football game, like the typical zombie, atheist, corporate slave in America. I would no doubt rather spend quality time, if I had to speak with someone, with a devout Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu, a Buddhist, people that maybe have higher values, spirituality, religious, philosophical, higher values than the typical shitbag American man who's like, man, I just want to buy a brand new car and I just want to watch the football game because my life revolves around football. Like it's so pathetic that I'm like, nah, I'd rather spend my time with a Muslim. Maybe I could learn some stuff. I'm not advocating Islam, but there's a lot of things you could learn from leadership when you're dealing with philosophical people, spiritual people, or religious people. However, in the West, it should be Christianity. That's who we are. So again, I'm also not like these MAGA people that like they have this hatred for Islam. I don't have a problem with Islam, but there's a time and a place. We are not an Islamic country in the West. I don't believe Islam should have legally protected, legal protections. So you could practice Islam, you could practice Hinduism and Buddhism, but there's going to be no legal protections. I really think Christianity should be the only religion that is legally protected, legally funded. You know, you're not going to get, so I'd go into that. But again, I just want to make that point. I think religions are great in general than the typical American who's just watching TV, buying stuff, and watching the football game. You wonder why our country's falling apart. I want to do this one part. This is also, I don't know if you knew this about her. I actually think she's pretty cool. Her name is Ann Coulter. And I didn't know this about her. So she talked about Vivek. And I think she gets away with a little bit more because she's a woman. You know, even though she's a white woman, she's a woman. Women get away with a little bit more. I don't know if you know about her. Her father was a retired FBI agent. And she talks about old school FBI. Like I said, I may not have gotten accepted under the old Hoover days. The standards in the FBI now have dropped. I mean, I'm not, as we know, I'm not very impressed with today's CIA or FBI. I mean, I would say even 20, maybe even 30 years ago, I'm just not that impressed with their resumes and who they are. But Ann Coulter, her father was part of the old school, and it was a different league back then. So pretty interesting. Her father was old school FBI. And some of the stuff she says, let's face it, most white men in America don't have the balls to say what she's saying. And I happen to agree with her. But this is a conversation she had with Vivek. I thought it was pretty interesting what she had to say. Let me bring her up here quick. One second. All right, let's see what Ann's got to say. And like I said, I just don't think the typical American white guy is going to say what she's going to say.
You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you.
And I say that too. I think, hey, for all I know, I think Vivek might be a much smarter person than me. He's got great DNA, this and that. But there's a time and a place for everything. I'm sorry, you're not European. You're not Christian. I don't even know if you value freedom of speech, because it sounds like he's cracking down on hate speech. But this is not your place. But I think he's probably, I don't know. I mean, we're going to say a super dude, but I don't want him to be my leader in my own country of a European country.
Articulate, since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
I love that. I like that part. Just because, you know, you shouldn't be rude to people just to be rude. But if people think you're rude for telling the truth, well, then that's their problem. So she wasn't insulting him to insult him. She was just telling the truth. I agree with her too. Why would I want an Indian man to be the leader of a European country? Doesn't make any sense. Where did I learn that from? Well, I learned it from China, and I also learned it from India. India wouldn't do it. But I think you would agree, most white men would be too afraid to say what Ann Coulter says. She's right at the end of the day. But yeah, this guy's probably really smart. He's successful. Again, I don't know his backstory. He does come across as a bit of a slick salesman. And I think there's a part, either I played it already or later, where he starts lecturing Americans, are we a part of the movement or not? He's gone too far. But anyway, Ann Coulter, pretty interesting. I didn't know about her. Her father was old school FBI. And she even talks about how the FBI's resumes, you know, their DNA has dropped significantly. Yeah, I don't really consider FBI agents to be special agents anymore. I just don't consider them to be special anymore. I guess above average. They're probably above average intelligence, above average, but nothing really special anymore. Not to it. But Ann Coulter, pretty interesting woman. We're going to do two more clips. Let's go back to, I think we're going to do one on Vivek here again. All right, let me go. Yeah, let me do one last for Vivek here. And what I want to do, let me just play this quick.
You can wake up someone who's asleep, but what about someone who's pretending to sleep? That's the story of Vivek Ramaswamy. At one point, he was the darling.
So what I want to do for this video, so everyone sees it, is What do I keep saying about the non-Western world? They are ethnocentric. Do not fool yourselves. You might be a cuck white American man who says, I don't believe in race. We're all the same, red, white, and blue inside. It's just the color of our skin. We're all the same. Well, you might think that, but not the rest of the world, because the rest of the world looks at race, and that's how it is. So the point is don't fool yourself. In India, they look at these Indian Americans as an extension of them. They don't look at them as American first. They look at them as Indian first. Get that through your dumb fucking head, you stupid American. A lot of dumb fucking white people in America still. They're like, hey man, it's just the color of your skin. Yeah, no, go around the world. You'll see it's more. It's a race. It's a culture. It's an ethnicity. It's a history. So look at this. This is an Indian news show. They care a lot about the Indian race, and they expect Indian Americans to put India first. There's nothing wrong with that. It's common sense. I say it's the stupid white man who has a problem.
Of the MAGA camp, that's Make America Great Again, MAGA. It's the political movement led by US President Donald Trump. At first, Vivek Ramaswamy embraced the MAGA identity. He loved the cheers and the love. But then came the hate. Hardcore MAGA attacked Ramaswamy's Indian ethnicity. They questioned his Hindu faith. They challenged his birthright citizenship. And why just him? MAGA even targeted Vice President J.D. Vance's wife, Usha Vance.
I mean, that's another story, but I can tell you, J.D. Vance, not a great look as the vice president and the future president to have mixed kids and an Indian wife. Meaning he didn't put America first when he chose his soulmate, his most important partner, the most important to his children. He put India first. I mean, he married an Indian woman. So he felt India was the best partner he could ever choose. So no, it's not a good look. If he was a private citizen, it'd be a little different. The vice president and possibly the future president of America who chose an Indian woman over a European woman, yeah, I have a problem with it.
They also abused Indian immigrants and naturalized citizens. So last week, Vivek Ramaswamy pushed back. He spoke at a conservative political event on Friday. Listen to what he said.
If you believe in normalizing hatred towards any ethnic group, toward whites, towards blacks, towards Hispanics, towards Jews, towards Indians, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. If you call Usha Vance the second lady.
Can you believe the gall of this guy? You have no place. It's basically you have no place in this country. Why would we allow these people to become Americans? I told you, you allow these people to come in, they will own you. They will own you and they will push you out. That's a pretty gall. You have no place in the movement. Sounds like you have no place in this country. How do we allow this to happen? Weak white men. That's really what it comes down to.
Of the United States of America. Ajit, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement.
Brave words there, and frankly, some of it is reasonable. Nobody should think that Adolf Hitler was cool. Nobody should spread hatred based.
I think this is a joke. She's an Indian, obviously commentator from India. The racism in India is through the roof. This garbage is only believed by white people. I mean, the point I would say is, listen, sweetheart, before you lecture white people in America on racism, fix your own super racist country of India first. That would be leadership 101. Lead by example. You first fix your racist country first, then lecture America, which is much less racist than you.
On skin color, and nobody should name call Usha Vance. This is not some radical thinking. This is basic human decency.
I mean, it's amazing how like I said, how hypocritical they are in India. It is so racist in India. How any white person could take this stuff as real as a joke.
I don't know what reaction Ramaswamy was expecting, but here's what he actually got. More hate. Some MAGA supporters asked Ramaswamy to leave the US. Some simply said thumbs down, and some asked him to repair their laptop, which is a lazy, racist joke on Indian technicians. In fact, one comment probably summed it up best. It said that Hitler lovers and racists do have a place in MAGA, but Vivek Ramaswamy may not. Now, this raises two crucial questions. One, why did Vivek Ramaswamy speak out now? And two, what does this episode say about American politics? Ramaswamy is running for governor of Ohio. It's a Republican-leaning state. Ohio has elected a Republican governor since the year 2006, but this time that could change. Some polls.
Okay, we're going to do one more video, but what I would say is this, and the next video is interesting. It's about Indian Americans. We really need to watch that video. You're going to see it. But I would say when I left America in 2010, I've said this, I would say maybe I was the normal American when it came to race. White men are racist. We got to work on racism, this and that. When you live in the non-Western world, the amount of racism that you see, it changes your entire perspective. I wouldn't even give these people lip service. I would be like Inkel Tour. I would just say, sorry, you're an Indian man. I'm not voting for you. I'm not going to have an Indian man to be the leader of a European. That's it. It's done. I don't care. I'm a Nazi. That's fine. Have fun with that. It doesn't bother me. But it really is going to happen to Americans as the white population in America continues to drop. You're going to see it. And I think this next video, this is the last video we're going to see, but it goes in on the whole Indian issue here. And it's going to get worse. Before it gets better, it will get worse. Let me go this. And interesting, too, I forget to think about. Think of the director of the FBI, also an Indian guy. I mean, talk about how non-racist we are. The director of the FBI, Indian guy. We'll see how this thing goes.
It's the kind of twist no one saw coming. One of Donald Trump's most loyal defenders, Dinesh D'Souza, has now become the
Go by this. Dinesh D'Souza knows about me. Guarantee I went through people. When I first got out on social media, I asked him, I said, hey, because he was helping out these FBI whistleblowers, which are grifters. Those guys are grifters, as we know. He knows about it. I say, hey, can you publish it? But yeah, I'm not a fan of him. I knew him back then when I reached out to him, and he's totally ignored me. We'll watch this video, but not a big fan of him.
target of the very hate he once helped defend. 4 years, D'Souza has been the brown face of Trump's MAGA movement. A best-selling author, filmmaker, and outspoken conservative voice. He's known for his controversial remarks on everything from race to same-sex marriage. And now, that same face of the movement is being attacked, with racist and anti-India comments, by his own camp. Here's how it started. Former Republican Congressman Joe Walsh posted on X, criticizing Trump for, quote, what he's doing to the White House, saying, he can't tear down walls, it's our house. D'Souza fired back. He wrote, America is also our home. We live here, under laws that we make.
Yeah, and I should have done this. This is also what Vivek says when he says, our home, we, our founding fathers. Yeah, let me, I gotta pause this here just quickly and just talk. But I heard this stuff where I hear Vivek and Dinesh and other people, they say, our founding forefathers. Hold on, asshole. What are you talking about? Could you imagine me in China talking about Mao Zedong, our forefathers? We built this. There's no we in China. It's them, and I'm what's called a Laowai. Laowai just means a foreigner. I think in Thailand they call it Phalangs, if you're a Phalang or whatever. They always have these foreigner names, and it is what it is. But you ever see these foreigners, these non-Europeans? Now, my forefathers don't go back to the rebel. I told you, my forefathers in 1850 immigrated to America. They were part of the Civil War. So I get it. There's going to be some, but the genetic lineage, European. But you see these non-Europeans, our forefathers, our countries, we did this. No, you didn't, asshole. Don't put it collective. I mean, there could be some outliers, like, I don't know, some black dude 200 years ago, he did, and I get it. And they should be honored. They should be recognized. But when you start talking collectively, ain't happening, man. Our founding forefathers, it was clear only white men could become citizens. There's a reason we're speaking English. That's a European language. So I don't like it. Talk about cultural appropriation. And that's another thing. If there's any culture on this earth that gets appropriated the most, it's European culture. Our language, our looks, our culture, our countries, our passports, our citizenships. It is the most culturally appropriated fucking people. Our white women open up her legs. Everyone has sex with white women. They're basically the whores of the world. That we are the most culturally appropriated culture, people, land you can name in the world. So after a while, white men, it needs to stand up and say, that's enough. That's fucking enough. Stop walking all over me. And the point when Vivek and stuff say our country or our people or our forefathers or our legacy or our history, who the fuck are you talking about, man? Ain't happening. I don't say that stuff in China. It's not our history. It's their history. It's the Chinese history. And good for them. There's a lot of stuff the Chinese could be proud of. I didn't do anything for that. I don't remember. Maybe. I mean, there is some stuff where the Europeans did help China that I could say, on behalf of the Europeans, on behalf of the Americans, I helped that. But I don't take any credit for good or for bad of anything the Chinese history did. It's Chinese. But you get tired of that, these people talking about our country, our history, our people, our legacy, no, tired with that. Yeah, I mean, the German people don't understand about the German. Shane pointed out that the German language, most people don't realize, but before World War II, there was a lot of German culture in America, German language. But it was during World War II that we wanted to nix, German Americans changed their names to make it sound less German. German language was verboten. There were street signs in German, changed it. But we have so much to be thankful to the Germans. Like, if there is one ethnic group that we should be extremely thankful for that built and founded a lot for America, it'd be the Germans. But if you're a non-European, there could be individual examples. Well, I guess the Chinese built the railroads. Okay, thanks for building the railroads. We could give examples. But as a collective, no way. This country was built by European people. And I'd probably say the Germans, like I said, the German language lost only by one vote when we were thinking of a national language. So I say again, the French too. I mean, I'll do videos too. If anyone's interested, I got some history on the French Foreign Legion, which is pretty interesting how it relates to America. And that's why Americans, we view Europeans differently. Why? So when I talk about legal immigration, I'm much more tolerant if a German, if a Canadian, we're talking white, obviously, a white Canadian, a white Australian, because they hail from Europe, a British, a French, a Swedish, a Swiss. Why are we more lenient when it comes to legal immigration for those people? Well, 2 points, and it's common sense. One, they hail from our forefathers. That's where we come from. Americans, we come from Europe. So if you're a European, we have a natural lineage. We have a bloodline. We have a natural genetic. So if a person from Sweden wants to immigrate to America, yeah, I'm much more tolerant about that. Let them come. But there's another reason too. They're also lenient if we want to immigrate there. It's reciprocity. It's reciprocal. The point being is we couldn't do that to Saudi Arabia. We couldn't do that to India. You're not going to do that to China. You're not even going to do that to Japan. I like Japan, but they're racist fucks too. Like them. I like the Japan. I think they're very called best of the best in Asia. I like them, but very racist. So the point is, the reason why we should be much more welcoming to Europeans who want to immigrate to America is for two reasons. One, that's our heritage. We are Europeans. So it's basically brothers. Our brothers or sisters want to come here, and they will also allow us to go there. Meaning the citizenship path, it's like America. I don't know how length it is. Like you'll move to Sweden, maybe you have to live there for 5 years. You're going to have to learn the language, but there is a path to becoming naturalized Swiss, German, French citizen. So it's both. They are part of our heritage. They're part of our lineal family, our genetic lineage, and also they allow us to immigrate there. Whereas the non-Western countries, they're not part of our lineage, number one. And two, if you do the research, the legal research on how to legally immigrate there and become a citizen, good luck. Good luck. Same thing. I lived in Taiwan. Taiwan's great. Yeah, do the research on how to become a Taiwanese citizen. They don't want you. They don't want the level to become a citizen in these non-Western countries, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I also say, if I can't become a citizen in your country, why should I allow you? I mean, I would not allow any Chinese people, to become American citizens, because you can't become American, or you cannot become a Chinese citizen. So why? So again, our view is much different. Let's go back to this video, but I get kind of pissed off when I hear these non-Europeans talk about our forefathers, our legacy, our history. We fought. No, I mean, even in World War II, I get it. Even in World War II, that you'll get some blacks and Hispanics, and they should be honored and they should be credited. But I don't know what the percentage is, but I guarantee the amount of white men who fought for America in World War II, mostly white guys. So meaning our heritage, who fought our wars, who died for America, who built America, I don't know, 90%, 95%, it's probably 99% white guys is basically who did it. So yeah, I don't like people culturally appropriating that. It's very, it's very dishonorable to the legacy of our American European forefathers. It's just a dishonorable. I wouldn't tolerate that. All right, let's go back to the show here. 1 second, let me show this. 1 second, here we go. All right, let's keep going.
Didn't Biden and the Democrats tear down the walls and let millions of home invaders in? That's when a Twitter user with white power...
This guy's funny. All I could think about this is free speech. Let this guy say what he wants to say, because our free speech is under attack. So I actually like this.
And pagan in his bio turned on D'Souza with a racist, anti-India rant. The post said, "You're Indian, you made nothing."
Now, I pointed, what he's saying about Indian people is very impolite. I don't advocate that. But we are at war with our First Amendment freedom of speech. And I do like people like this person who's able to exercise freedom of speech to the point that people do not like what he's saying, but we need to defend his freedom of speech.
You're nothing. Your race has been slaves for hundreds of years. Your existence causes me disgust. D'Souza was shocked. He replied, "In a career spanning 40 years,
I want you to hold that. In a career spanning 40 years, I want you to ask yourself, in America, go back 40 years and go back today. How much more multiracial diversity has happened in America in 40 years? I think it's got to be an epitome of the amount of increase of non-whites and a decrease of whites. So he's like, I can't believe this is happening. Perhaps because white people in the last 40 years are experiencing something called white genocide. We're getting stepped on. We're not, and we are hearing more and more shit from non-European people, to include you, which you might say good stuff. But either way, look at that number, 40 years. And you ask yourself how much change has happened in 40 years in America, and how much good versus bad has happened to the white man in America. Maybe there's a little bit anger in that number of 40 years. What has happened? And how much better the lives have become for non-white Americans, for women, and for immigrants versus the native white man.
Never encountered this kind of rhetoric. The right never used to talk like this. Who on our side has legitimized
I'm
this?
not so a big fan of the right. I think the right are mostly cucks. The same thing with Donald Trump talked about the Republican and name only the rhinos. Yeah, I think even the typical MAGA, he's a cuck. He's not a nationalist.
Vile degradation. For D'Souza, this was personal. Born in Mumbai, he moved to the U.S. in the 1970s
And why did he move to the U.S.? Because he didn't want to hang out with sand niggers. I know it's a very impolite saying, but listen, what the hell is his name? Whatever, the Indian guy, I forgot his name. But the point is, why don't you want to live in India with Indian people? And his reply is, because I don't want to hang out with Indian people. They're low life, low DNA people. I want to hang out with white people. That's not my problem. It's not my problem that you're a very racist person. It's not my problem that you look at Indians as low-life DNA sand niggers. I didn't say it, you said it. It's not my problem that you are a white supremacist and you believe white people are supreme. That's not my problem. I think Indian people are good. I think China, look at me, I'm living in China. They're not that bad. It's not my fault, Dinesh, that you are a white supremacist. That's why I think his daughter married the white congressman. It's not my fault that you are a white supremacist and you look down on the country of India and you look down on Indian people. That's why you don't want to live there. That's not my problem. It's your problem that you're a white supremacist.
Rose to become one of the most prominent immigrant success stories within the conservative camp. Ironically, D'Souza himself has often been criticized for making controversial comments about race, campus rape, and even same-sex marriage. But after Trump pardoned him in 2018, following his conviction for making an illegal campaign donation, D'Souza became one of Trump's most visible defenders. Trump had said at the time that D'Souza was treated very unfairly by our government. Now, the same camp is turning on him. The movement that once held him up as proof that MAGA isn't racist has now...
Well, again, it's not that you look down on these people, but these people have to admit, what did I tell you about the Jew thing? You have to admit that this is a white man first country. What do I think about India? It's an Indian man country, meaning the Indian man runs India. The China man runs China. So these MAGA as long as they admit that, but they don't. I don't know. They think they're conservative, but then they think race doesn't matter. No, asshole. Now, if you're in the MAGA movement or the nationalist movement and you're a non-white, but you admit that the white man is the leader and the white man should run, then it would be different. But these people are like, yeah, I'm MAGA, I'm a nationalist, I'm conservative, but race doesn't matter. We're all the same. No, that's not flying. You're talking retarded communist rhetoric here.
Now made him realize loyalty doesn't always mean belonging. And this isn't an isolated moment. The anti-India sentiment has been quietly rising within parts of the MAGA movement.
Here's why. I say it again. I think in America, the reason why there's more anti-Jew, anti-Indian, anti-Chinese, anti is because white men are realizing there's something called white genocide. They're losing power. We're losing our numbers. And I'm telling you, once you start experiencing more and more life as a racial minority, and all these non-races become your boss and have power, you're going to realize it. You're going to start fighting. Probably we weren't like this 100 years ago because it was run all by white men. So I'm telling you, as remember we always say diversity is our strength? Yeah, good luck with that. As America becomes more and more diverse, there's going to be more and more white guys who were liberal before, and they're going to wake up. That's what happened to me. I cannot tell you how China has red-pilled me. I've never in my life lived as a racial minority. You know, I grew up in New York, but New York, I still remember. We'll do stories there. We left the city, went upstate. We did a little white flight. But China was the only time I've ever experienced of living life as a racial minority. It will change you like you've never changed before. It doesn't bother me, these terms anymore, being called a white supremacist or neo-Nazi. It's laughable now. It's absolutely laughable. And what's happening in America is more and more American white men get closer and closer to that feeling of being a racial minority. You're going to realize you better fight or you're going to die. The country's over.
From tightening H-1B visas to attacking Indian festivals, the tone has turned increasingly hostile. During the Hindu festival Diwali, American leaders with Indian roots...
I'm telling you, all these Indian leaders, don't fool yourself. The Indian government, the Indian people, the Indian country expect them to be India first. I mean, look at all these people. Like I said, give it time. If you don't understand these concepts that I'm telling you now, give it time in America. You will.
Were attacked for wishing a happy Diwali. Members of the MAGA camp went on a spree of hateful online comments aimed at Hinduism and those celebrating Diwali. All this comes even as Indian American.
I still cannot believe our director of the FBI, what I keep saying, the most powerful pound-for-pound agency in America. We got an Indian guy, and here I am, a former FBI agent with FBI corruption to report, and they've totally ignored me. Totally ignored me. Everyone knows you don't do this. And we have an Indian man. Do you think the chances, I keep saying, what about you going to India and you trying to be the head of their domestic intelligence law enforcement agents? Never would happen. It just shows you we are the least racist country in the world. The white Western man is the least racist man in the world. It's hands down.
Hold some of the highest offices in the Trump administration. FBI Director Kash Patel, National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard, and AI advisor Sriram Krishnan. The same community once seen as the ideal conservative immigrant base.
And again, I like India just like I like China. But there's a time and a place, meaning let the Indians have fun in India, let the Chinese have fun in China. And, maybe some of them can come to America, can't become a citizen now. I would not allow them to become American citizen. They can't vote. But I don't think anything wrong. I don't have a problem with India. I think India is pretty cool. I don't want to live there. But the problem is when Indians come to America and start telling Americans what to do, meaning through power, as they gain power and they become our rulers in our own country. No, I don't like that. That's called an invasion.
The one Trump courted with rallies like Howdy Modi and campaign photo ops is now realizing that acceptance has its limits. D'Souza's realization captures that irony, visibility in the movement never guaranteed belonging. And the hate runs deeper. Just days ago, Politico exposed more than 2,000.
The crazy thing is, if you go to India like China, you'll find out they are more pro-Hitler than you can imagine. It doesn't make sense what they're saying is. I mean, there is more pro-Hitler, pro-neo-Nazi, pro-nationalism in non-Western countries. So it just doesn't make sense how they're pointing this out.
900 pages of leaked Telegram chats from the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's so-called farm team. The leaks revealed shocking messages where members called black people monkeys and watermelon people, joked about gas chambers and Jews, and insulted Indians.
It is what it is. It's called free speech. We are under attack in free speech. Let it out. Let this stuff come out.
The report noted that racial slurs appeared over 251 times in those chats. After the leak, New York State Republican leaders voted unanimously to disband the group. These revelations have reignited the debate about how deeply racism and anti-India sentiment are embedded within the far-right ecosystem. So the bigger question is, will MAGA ever truly accept those who don't look like them? Tell us what you think in the comments.
Isn't it weird? Will MAGA ever accept them who don't look like them? I don't know. You think India is ever going to accept you in India if you don't? What about China? What about Saudi Arabia? What about Japan? I can't explain this because I almost want to think how retarded white men are in America, but that's how I was. Because when I left America in 2010, it's like anything. It's sometimes you have to have real world experience until you know it. And I was raised as a typical American thinking America's racist, white men were racist, we really do bad things to the non-whites, and the non-whites are the least racist. Same thing with the patriarchy. That was also, America, we really treat women really bad. We're such a patriarch, like all these things. Then you leave the West and you go to the non-West and your entire world will change. And so I'm going to sum it up here because here I am in China. There's no Christmas here, which is fine because in China. But the point being is you don't see a guy like me or anyone petitioning the Chinese government, petitioning the Chinese people that Christianity should be allowed in China, that we should celebrate Christmas. You're going to end up in jail. You don't do that here. You either accept the Chinese way of life or you leave. So why do we allow that in America and Western countries? It's the weak white man. It really is. I've said this all the time. It all comes. Same thing with Vivek Ramaswamy. I could simply say, Vivek, I don't know. I didn't do a due diligence on you, but I'm going to give you the benefit of that. You're a smart person. You add value to America. I don't think I would have gave you an American citizenship, but whatever. You got an American citizenship, then fine. Be a good American citizen. You ain't going to be my leader, though. I'm not going to have an Indian Hindu. Sounds like you're also not really into free speech as the leader of a European country. Same thing with Ann Coulter, a woman. It's like the white man. We need a woman to be our leader. What did she say? She said sort of what I said. She complimented him too, which I agree. Hey, I think Vivek is probably a lot smarter than me. Give him a compliment. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to have an Indian man to be the leader of a European country. That's basically what Ann Coulter says. And there's so many white men who are pussies who couldn't say that are probably like, Well, thank God she said it, which is even so much, it's other pathetic. So that's really the main point. The same thing with these other religions. I think religions in general do more good than harm versus this atheism, consumerism, corporatism. But I think there should only be one official religion in the West, and that would be Christianity. You could still practice Hinduism. I don't have a problem with Hinduism, but it's not the official religion of the West, or it shouldn't be. There should be no legal protections. So I say this again because I'm telling you, here's everyone enjoying Christmas. I'm telling you, if the way things are going, in fact, remember in America now, you don't say Merry Christmas, you say Happy Holidays. I think Trump is again, Trump, he's the best there is that I could think of. It's not going to work. And I'll do another, it's not, but he is going in the right direction. I think he's pushing, no, we could say Merry Christmas. It's a Christian holiday, stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying? There was a time where you don't say Merry Christmas. You have to say Happy Holidays. And I'm telling you, it's kind of like any type of rights. If you don't exercise them, you're going to lose them. But America, what did I keep saying? The best way I could sum up America right now, the best, if you said, who's an American? I said faith, family, freedom. Faith. We are a Christian faith-based country. 2, family. We are Europeans. That's who we are. That is DNA. Some people say, no, we're just culturally. No, it's DNA. That means white. And if you're going to be a European, there's white. There's no such thing as a black European, an Asian European. There's no such thing as a white Chinese guy. Chinese is Chinese. And then freedom. Let's face it, freedom of speech. And if you're not that, well, I don't even want you to be close to any type of leadership position in America or the West, hands down. So let's go. We're gonna end it here. I'll look at the questions. Gone. I heard, and I'll do stuff about immigration, about Canada, but man, I've heard even worse stuff about Canada. It's being like so liberal, Indians and what they're doing up there. But it's even worse, I think, for white men in Canada, what they get away with in terms of socialism. I'm seeing Jay Mitch. Yep, Vivek is running for governor of Ohio. He's the best chance that will be on the ballot. I'm sure as hell not voting for that. That's what it is. I heard there's another guy who's going to run in a primary against Vivek. Maybe his name's Dave too. Dave Putsch. He's a white guy, some type of car guy. I don't know about him, but I think he's running against Vivek for the Republican primary for Ohio. But anyway, from the brief stuff that I've seen on this guy, I forgot. Our name is Casey Pulch. Something. Yeah, that's it. Okay, Shane said it. Casey Putsch. Putsch sounds like a German name, after Putsch. But anyway, from just the sheer advertisement that I saw about this guy Casey, sounds like a much better guy than Vivek. I'd vote for Casey in a heartbeat over Vivek. Like I said, at the end of the day, I don't want to have an Indian man being but it's a tough decision. What if you had an Indian man who's a conservative versus a white man who's an absolute liberal, anti-white, communist? This is where America's falling apart. This is where I think at the end of the day, and I keep telling people, they said, David, when is the change going to be? It's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to get worse. Think about it. What if somebody was having this sort of podcast or talk 20 years ago? People wouldn't believe them. I remember, I told you, we're going to civil war. I left 15 years ago. So what does it mean? It's got to get worse before it gets better. Meaning it has to get worse. We're talking economically going to be worse. Your security, it's going to get worse. And then people wake up. That's the best thing to wake people up, that sense of security and economics. And then the politics will change. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. If Donald Trump ran for president, we'll say in 1990, I don't think he would have won. I don't think he would have won back in 1990. But when he ran, it's many times they say the leader is when the timing is right. When the fruit is right, you pick it and eat it. Meaning it's a lot about timing. And Donald Trump ran for president at that right. But you got to remember, even when he ran for president, 2015? Even then, people were like, no, he's a racist. He's overboard. But now people are definitely on board with him. Like, no, he's absolutely right on many topics. And guess what? He's not as far right as we need to go. It's gonna go farther. You're gonna see it. At the end of the day, the three main values: faith, family, freedom. Freedom. We're still under attack by our freedom of speech. Our freedom of speech in America is an absolute joke. So when I hear people saying impolite, rude comments like whatever, you're a sand nigger, Adolf Hitler's the best leader in the world. I don't care anymore. Let free speech. We need free speech. We're at war. I mean, if you're a military veteran, why aren't you defending free speech? The second is about European. There's an attack on our white culture, our white people, our population's dropping. And again, Christianity, which is another reason. I'm just not a fan of Hinduism as any type of official religion for America. It just doesn't have its place. So let me just go back. Nobody would believe Casey's a 1,000-car, 100-mile. Yeah, I heard he's a car guy. I don't know. Casey's an American, built at that. Yeah, Shane, I read a little about. I mean, Casey, just on the bare information that I read about him, we're talking less than 5 minutes. I immediately said, I'll take that guy over Vivek in a heartbeat. But you know what I said? Let the people of Ohio do it, because sooner or later, you're going to realize where this country is going. And through the forces of security and through the forces of economics, people are just going to go in that path, meaning we're talking nationalism. Nationalism will eventually rise. And I've said many times, you have two choices. You'll embrace nationalism or you're going to die, or you're going to leave the country like I did. It's going to happen. You're going to see it. And that's, as I said, part of the reason Trump got elected, and part of the reason I like Trump is, even though I don't consider him a nationalist leader, he is the most nationalist president that I could ever think of. But he's not the answer. You're going to see it. This is David Baumblatt from Terrible Leader. I see one more comment from Shane. Exactly. Your 5 minutes to terminate. Yeah, Shane. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know anything about Casey. But in that 5 minutes of just, and he mentioned comments, I think he said something like Vivek is an anchor baby, like an Indian. Within 5 minutes, I was like, this is the guy. If it was just him and Vivek, pretty simple decision to me. But like I said, I think when you're dealing with most white men in America, it's almost they have this biblical dream of not being a racist. It's their biggest dream. It's just don't be racist. Whatever they got, just don't be racist. Don't be racist. But then when you go to the non-Western world, you realize they're the most racist people in the world, and it changes your mind as a white guy. And you're like, not only are we not very racist, we are the least racist people in the world. And if anyone disagrees with you on that, then tell them, name the country. I could tell you living proof, it ain't China. It's not China by a long mile. And so the point is, and sometimes a little bit of racism, it's good. That's why the Chinese have lasted for thousands of years, because they are racist. They believe that the Chinese race is important. It's important to preserve, that the land belongs to the Chinese racially people. That in itself is a form of racism. Not exactly bad. Perhaps not all forms of racism are. Look at the Jews. The Jews are some of the most racist people around. Not exactly bad. The Jews take care of the Jews. Israel is a very racist country where it's a very Jewish state. So we have to also understand this word racism. It doesn't have to mean negative connotations. Being racist is just looking at race as real. Now, what you do with it, I guess you could say it's like a gun. A gun could be used for good and for bad, but a gun, it's just a weapon. It's just a mechanical mechanism, and it can be used to murder someone, do something evil, but it could also be, and that's how it's sort of like racism is, somewhere where they put their race first, where they protect each other, where they're conservative, where you conserve your race. That's a very positive form of racism. But if you're trying to genocide, I'm definitely against any form of racial genocide. But it's happening throughout the world where we have to look at it. But yeah, that would be negative. So I guess that's it. What I want to do is wish everyone a Merry Christmas. But I'm telling you, me from China, no Christmas. If you don't preserve Christianity, if you don't preserve your European culture, perhaps your children or your children's children, perhaps there might not be any more Christmas in America or Western countries. So preserve it. Until then, thank you for your support. Lead to victory.